So this little bad boy right over here is what we run all our shows from. If you've seen my band Aliens in Oceans live, you've seen this thing. It is essentially our in-ear monitor and playback rig. The laptop generally sits on top of here, and then we have a stream deck that we give to our drummer, and then they cue the tracks from there. But we also have a lot of our tracks just on an automatic run, so they'll just keep on going. So that one song can go very quickly into the other, and we just keep the show moving. However, there is a stop button, and there is a dedicated button for each track and everything. So we're all good on that front. So I just wanted to quickly show it off and explain a few things about what the heck is busy going on with it. First things first, if I just tilt it that way, you can actually see how everything is labeled. Starting off here, tracks left and right, vocals 1, which is me, 2, which is Ross, 3 is Ian, bass guitar, kick drum, our drum, trash mic or snare. Now you may notice that there's no guitars. Well, that's what's happening down over here. The little blue box over here is a DI box, and we can actually split it from the DI box. So we take the through from the DI box and plug it into one of the jacks over here, and there's an XLR out to the back. Currently we need to get a second one for our other guitar player because the last one I stepped on and it broke. And when I say stepped on and broke, this panel over here is essentially dented on the inside, so we can't really use it. As you can see, that has our guitar 2 Jesse is on there, but we do have it as part of our rider that there needs to be a DI box there for us. And then here's the cable that leads into the snake that's at the back of this. But just to quickly go over the parts: splitter, mixer, audio interface for tracks, DI box for guitar 1. Now let's turn this thing around. Now right now, as you can see, it is just a bunch of messy cables. Let me just so much. This over here is the snake, and it's color-coded and labeled for everything that we use. So yellows would be the guitars, purple is vocals, green is backing tracks, orange is drums, and it's all just bundled up. And then we have, of course, guitar 2, once again being the little outlier. Then we have our USB cable that has miraculously decided to come out. Let me actually just fix that real quick. I also realized that we had an entire extension cable in the back here, so this is going to need to be re-rolled and put into our cable box that I just moved. So that's the latest problem. Now, another thing to mention is we use a router so that we can all connect with our phones and mix our own in-ears. Generally, we don't do any big changes at the gig, and sometimes even in practice, it is small adjustments. But the router has this power cable, and then this Cat 7 Ethernet cord, because there was no other cord I could find that was braided and looked sturdy and durable. So, and then if we need any extra power, we have this thing that's mounted on here pretty tightly. It has surge protection, and our extension also has surge protection, but unfortunately power conditioners are very difficult to find in this country, and if you do find them, they generally are very expensive. Another thing to note is I built this thing. I went and I got some pretty hard plywood. I stained it all entirely, and I even routed out the sides over here so that we could have these pretty heavy-duty handles. However, what I didn't realize at the time is just how heavy this thing is. Don't get me wrong, it can take an absolute beating and will still come and kick ass the next day, but at some point we're going to switch to an ABS flight case just because the weight is starting to become a factor. Also, lastly, just in case people are wondering why all the outputs are completely blank, we are currently still on a wired setup, and getting wireless is incredibly expensive and also relatively difficult considering the amount of different frequencies that just don't work. But luckily, our wired solutions have been doing absolutely fine for now. There are definitely a few upgrades and improvements I can definitely make, like turning this thing around and maybe putting a patch bay where we can plug all our in-ears into, but it's all going to take time and energy, and I'd rather wait until we have enough money from playing gigs and, you know, people buying merch so that we can actually upgrade this thing, make it a little bit more stable, a little bit more compact, a lot cleaner. But yeah, there we go. In-ear monitor system. Right there. If you have any questions about this in-ear monitor system, pop them down in the comments. If you have any suggestions on how we can improve without, you know, completely shattering our bank account, also put them there. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this little impromptu go through of our in-ear monitor rig.